Of 4 University of Idaho students due in court today. It comes as we hear from the family.
The University of Idaho murders. Overnight, we learned that a trial date.
What happens when the lives of students who decided to study in a particular town, due to its serenity and security, are now threatened, and they no longer feel safe? How safe can you be when a murderer is on the loose? While Idaho has always been peaceful and lovely, recent developments have shown a threat to the lives of many peace-loving people. For many decades, the serenity of Idaho has been one of the many reasons why teenagers apply to study there. But what happens when this peace is disrupted? All these questions will be explained in detail, so if you would like to know what happened to the students of Idaho, keep watching. It was a quiet and peaceful day in Idaho, and the students were going about their day preparing for the football match. Amidst all this preparation and excitement, 6 friends were also getting ready. Madison Mogen, a 21-year-old who is best friends with Kaylee Goncalves, another 21-year-old, and Ethan Chapin, a 20-year-old man, with his girlfriend Xana Kernodle, another 20-year-old, and 2 other friends whose names were not mentioned. These friends were all set to head out to watch a game, after which the couple, Ethan and his girlfriend Xana, went to a fraternity party at the Sigma Chi house while the 2 best friends were captured on a Twitch streamer camera, ordering food from a truck close to the corner club they visited. All these events were happening on the 12th of November 2022, and little did these 4 friends know they were creating their last memories on Earth. You might be wondering what would happen, as they all seemed relatively happy and safe, surrounded by those they love and those that love them. The 2 best friends who have been inseparable since 6th grade, Maddie and Kaylee, took an Uber share back to their house, which they shared with 2 other roommates. At about 4 a.m. on the 13th of November 2022, the girls got food delivered to their house and were seen on their TikTok account at 4:12 a.m. that same day. It all went downhill from there when the police received a disturbing call from a distressed caller saying her roommates were dead. The police rushed to the house of these 4 friends, and there they met a gruesome crime scene. The 4 friends, who were seen happy and alive in the early hours of the 13th of November, were no more. Their bodies were found dead, lying on their bed with multiple stab wounds on each victim. The police, after investigating the crime scene, concluded that there was no forced entry into the house because the door was left unlocked, which was no surprise in a house being occupied by multiple people. The 2 other roommates who survived such an attack in their house gave a statement explaining to the authorities how they heard voices early that morning but thought nothing of it, thinking it was her other roommates who were discussing amongst themselves, which was a normal occurrence in the house, not knowing that her roommates were being brutally murdered. After an examination was conducted on the bodies of the deceased, it was concluded that they were stabbed in their sleep because there were no defense wounds on the victims. The death of these 4 young Idaho students came as a total shock to the entire state and the world at large. The peaceful and safe community was now plagued with fear and paranoia, seeing as a loose murderer was walking amongst them. Parents were scared to leave their children alone, not knowing if they would be the next victim. Students had to leave the campus area and return home, where they would feel safe. Most students even went back to their states to complete the semester online out of fear. Days and weeks of searching and investigation brought forth no lead for the authorities. After asking around and questioning all those the young students interacted with before their demise, they still could not get a lead to their case. Due to many questions and other members of the community deciding to take matters into their own hands, the authorities had to follow a different and shocking route by appearing on TV and listing out the names of those they cleared, who were not suspects, and urging the public to leave them alone. They identified the 2 roommates, Bethany Funke and Dylan Mortensen, as not being suspects because they were both sleeping during the time of the attack. After questioning the Uber share driver who dropped off the 2 best friends and finding his alibi strong, he was also cleared of not being a suspect. The authorities also cleared a guy wearing a white hoodie who was captured at the food truck leaving immediately the girls left, whom many believed was responsible for their murder. After days of searching and no lid being found, the families and entire community were still living in fear, knowing a killer lived amongst them. On the 7th of December 2022, the public's faith was restored when the police put out a search for a white Elantra Hyundai with a manufacturing date between 2011-2013 and an unknown license. This piece of information revived the spirit of the community as the search for the car began, though the police only stated they were looking for this car, as it may hold some valuable piece of information that may help the case. They never went into details as to why they were interested in that particular car. Authorities reviewing surveillance footage from the area stumbled upon the suspect's white Hyundai Elantra, circling the victim's house not once, not twice, but 3 times, before finally making its move at 4:04 a.m. Pullman, Washington, became a focal point in the investigation as police traced the car's nocturnal journey back to its owner's stomping grounds. That's right, the suspect was a local, attending none other than Washington State University. But wait, there's more intrigue. Kohberger's phone wasn't sitting idly by during this time. No, it was on the move, heading towards Moscow right before the attack, only to retreat to Pullman alongside the mysterious white Elantra. The phone was conveniently switched off between 2:47 a.m. and 4:48 a.m., the time frame the police believed these murders took place, explaining the suspect switched off his cell deliberately so as not to be linked with the murders. And if that wasn't damning enough, his phone had quite a history with the victim's house, not a casual acquaintance, mind you, but a frequent visitor. At least 12 times, dating back to August, according to the police document. But wait, there's more. DNA evidence seals the deal, linking the suspect to a knife sheath left on Mogen's bed on the night these 4 students were killed. The suspect, Bryan Christopher Kohberger, a 28-year-old PhD student at Washington State University, was arrested in northeastern Pennsylvania, merely 2,500 miles away from the crime scene. He was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary. Kohberger's trial was supposed to start in October, but in August, he decided to delay it. Kohberger is accused of some very serious crimes, 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary. At the time of the murders, Kohberger was studying at Washington State University, just a short drive from Moscow. He got arrested in December at his family's home in Pennsylvania. Then, he was brought back to Idaho to wait for his trial. Kohberger says he didn't do it, but the prosecutor wants him to face the death penalty. Right now, both sides are getting everything ready for the trial. They need to sort out things like lists of witnesses and instructions for the jury. The prosecutor also wants to make sure the defense doesn't get any more chances to say Kohberger was somewhere else when the murders happened. Kohberger's lawyers have been fighting against some of the things the state wants. They say Kohberger was just out for a drive that night and didn't have a specific alibi. Now, with deadlines coming up, everyone's wondering how this trial will turn out. Will Kohberger be found guilty? Or is there more to this story? We'll have to wait and see. As a healing step, the house where these students were murdered was destroyed in February 2023, so it would no longer be a reminder of the heinous act that happened in the state. November 2023 made it 1 year since the death of these students, and their families and friends held a candle night procession in their honor, while also pleading with the authorities to bring the perpetrator of such an evil act to book so the victims would get the justice they deserved. In the latest court appearance, the prosecutors are demanding the trial be held in the summer of this year, as they would not want it to be held when students are in school. While this may seem a reasonable appeal, the defense reiterated, saying the trial should be held in the summer of 2025 as they still had lots of information they need to go through. The defense stated they had about 15 terabytes of information, and to carefully access all these will take months and not just weeks. The trial of Bryan Kohberger is said to take at least 12-15 weeks due to its complexity, hence they would not want to rush it, seeing as it's a death penalty the accused is facing. Judge John Judge addressed the victim's family, expressing his heartfelt condolence and pleading with the victim's family to bear with the court as they take the necessary time needed to ensure justice is served. The judge, though reluctant to push the trial to next year, is yet to give a certain date for the trial to begin, explaining the need to carefully go through every piece of information that may be relevant to the case to ensure the right judgment is passed. What's your thought on this case? When do you feel the trial should be held to ensure proper trial and give enough time to both parties involved? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe and share so you will be updated on the latest news concerning this case.